I'm here with Matt Shifferly, and I'm so excited because he has a lot to share with us today. Matt has been online pretty much since the beginning, sharing his strength and health knowledge and just helping others and empowering them to be in shape. He has over 115 YouTube followers. He's a PCC team leader. He has 8 books out. He writes 2 books a year. And he's here today to share with us how to build our own fitness self-publishing empire for passive income. So I don't know about you. I'm very excited to hear what Matt has to say today.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I am so excited to be here because, we talk a lot about fitness and how to get in shape and stuff. But this is one of those things that I've been pursuing over the past several years that has made such a difference in my life and the life of people who I want to help as well. But I haven't really talked about it much up to this point. So I really appreciate the opportunity to do so here. So yeah, as you mentioned, I started writing back in 2014, and I got into writing self-published books for the same reason I got into starting to make YouTube videos. I was at a conference years ago, and someone whipped out these little things called flip cams. This is before we had, the smartphones. And I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, you could just do this and you make a quick video and you post it on YouTube. And I got so excited over that because not only did that give me something that I could potentially make some income off of, but more importantly, it allowed me to do a little bit of work and impact and help a lot of people exponentially more than what I was doing with one-on-one training sessions. So when I started to get into writing books, it was the same thing as I do a little bit of work, relatively speaking, a little bit of work up front, but then I have this product that I can digitally distribute to thousands and thousands of people and help a lot of people and leverage my knowledge. And not only does that help them, but it helps me as well. Plus, when it comes to writing books, there's something about saying, I've written this book. I tell people I've written 8 books and stuff, and they're like, what, really? Oh, wow, and stuff. But the fact is now it's so easy to write books and get them self-published on Amazon that it's not really that much more difficult than just writing a blog post. But it still has that cachet of expertise, of being knowledgeable about a topic and putting in the work and the discipline, that it still carries that weight of authority. So not only is it a vehicle to help people and make some extra money, but it kind of levels you up as a coach, kind of in the social credibility, as it were. And that's what I'm so excited about, is it's a fairly simple, easy way to level yourself up in your business and the lives of those around you.
How do you get started?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. Like I said, it's as simple as uploading a blog post. And I'm not joking on that. So Amazon has what they call their KDP, which has evolved over the years to be even easier and simpler to use. And it literally is as easy as uploading just a simple Word document or a PDF to have a book. It's not this very complicated thing where you got all these different formats and files and stuff. They've made it so easy that the first time I wrote a book back in 2014, I spent 5 years writing that book. And when I finally hit the publish button, it was kind of anticlimactic. It was upload, check through it, good, and publish. And I just kind of sat back that was it. Oh, well, that was pretty easy. And my friend was there. She's like, did you do it? I'm like, I did it. And I mean, there's no streamers coming down. There's no parades in my honor or anything. I was like, wow, that was a lot easier than I thought. And so over the years, I've made it even simpler and easier, to the point where that first book took me 5 years to write. One of my most recent books was done in as little as 2 months.
Wow.
And the process keeps getting faster and faster. And not only is it getting faster, it's getting better and more effective as well. Because one of the big mistakes I made, which a lot of other people make, is they make the writing process much more complicated than it needs to be. And much more tedious. And it's the same thing with workouts. People overthink this stuff to the nines, and they're really trying to make it seem like a big deal. But what you want to do when you're writing these books is make it a very low-key, simple affair, because the power of it isn't in the work you put in. The power is in the message and the information you're bringing to the reader. And it doesn't take a lot of work to do that. It doesn't take a whole lot. in order to make that happen. So here's my process. We'll jump right into the nitty gritty here, because the process, like with a workout, the simpler you make your process, the easier it's going to be. And easy is the way to go. Now, before we jump in though, I do want to say real quick that this process is always evolving and it's by no means perfect. So dear listener, if you think, oh, I could do it better with this and that, by all means change it. Modify, change however you want to suit your purpose, because it's probably going to be better for you. So it's not set in stone. So what I do is I'll first get an idea for a book. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take an idea and I'll start putting out the content initially in my other avenues, my YouTube channel, my podcast, social media posts and stuff like that, to kind of test the waters and see if there's some traction with it. Because sometimes you'll have an idea and it looks great to you, but you put it out there and people are like, I don't care. And
right.
in which case you might get feedback of, okay, how do I make this so people do care? Or it might be not a really exciting topic. And as a result, you don't have to waste your time with it. So you test it out through those things. And if people start really gravitating towards it, like my latest book, Micro Workouts, I put that out there and people are clamoring for the information. And it's especially beneficial when people are like, you should write a book on this. I'm like, okay, there's proof positive right there that I have that. And one of the things that I always do is I always tell people, I don't save anything in my books for the book. Everything in every one of my books is on my YouTube channel. It's in my podcasts.
Okay.
I don't spare anything. So that way I can tell people, you don't have to buy my books. If you don't want to buy my book, you can get everything on YouTube. But good luck going through 2,000 X number of videos and the hours and hours of podcasts. I look at my books as like a shortcut. Like, this is the best information that I've come up with on this topic. And now you can get it all in 130 pages or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's a shortcut for them. So I'm testing the waters that way. Once I know I've got something that's got some potential to it, then I go and I start making my outline. And the outline, if there's ever a shortcut to make this process a lot easier, it's in the outline. So what I do is I use Google Docs, and I just pull up a blank Google Docs and I title it, next book, or maybe a tentative title. And the reason why I do Google Docs is I've got it on my desktop, but I also have it on my phone. And that's key, because you want this project to be with you at all times, especially during the outlining phase. So you have, the title, and then down below you make bullet points of what do you want to talk about, and just put them down, and I'll bold them, or I'll make, okay, these are the chapters, introduction, why should you do this? So let's come up with a theoretical book. Let's say a Couch to 5K book. You're going to write a book on Couch to 5K. Good. All right. So introduction, maybe write your own personal history on your Couch to 5K history so people can relate. Okay. Chapter 1, why running? Why run a 5K? What are the benefits? Can anyone do this? You want to address a lot of concerns and questions that people may have right off the bat.
Right.
The purpose of that introduction is make them feel like that book was written for them, that one person that you're writing to. So you write introduction, bullet points. Chapter 1, things to be aware of preparing, go see a doctor. Do you have any issues? Blah, 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 blah. Chapter 2, your first run. Chapter 3, and so on. And chapter 4, diet and nutrition, blah, blah, blah. And the reason why you want it on your phone is because you want to spend a lot of time making your outline. One of the biggest things that people get stuck on with writing is just staring at that blank page and that blinking cursor going, I don't know what to write about. The outline is going to totally eliminate that and cure writer's block forever. Right. So you have those bullet points and you want it to kind of incubate in the back of your mind. Like, okay, that's what my book's going to be about. But inevitably your brain's going to be like, no, chapter 3 and I should switch those. So you switch them in the outline. Oh, that's right. I need to write about shoes. I need to write about what do you look for in a good running shoe? Where is that? That would be in chapter 2. So you put it in the outline in chapter 2. So you do this over several weeks, putting things in, taking things out, switching things around, because you're basically making the outline.
Yeah.
And then for each point, you're like, what are the points of that? And you put those down. What are the points of that? Put those down, and so forth. And then after several weeks, maybe about a month or so, you'll get to a point where you're like, this seems like this is what my book's going to be about. And then what you do is when you write your rough draft, you literally write it in the outline. You don't want to take a separate sheet or a separate doc and say, okay, because then you're staring at a blank page again. You literally go to the outline and it says, okay, my story of Couch to 5K, and you make that like a header for chapter 1 or introduction, and then directly underneath that in the outline, you start writing, because it's literally telling you, this is the part you write about this topic, and you write about it. And then you go down to the next bullet point and it's saying, now write about this topic. So you literally have a roadmap on how to write the book from the outline. You just go right through it, and that's how you get your rough draft.
I love this. This is so cool.
It saves you so much time and frustration because you've already done the hard work by making the outline. You just fill in the gaps.
Right.
And it just flows. Now, one thing I've been experimenting with over the past couple of books that has helped too, and again, to put it on your phone, is I will dictate the rough draft through voice, because we can do that now on our smartphones. So yeah. I'll go through and it'll say, okay, talk about running shoes. And bling, the thing you want to think about running shoes, blah, 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 period. Blah, 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 comma, blah, 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 next paragraph. You know, and that way, because when it comes to getting that rough draft, you just got to put something on the page. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be good. You just want something on the page that you can edit with. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot easier to write it and a lot faster if you can just dictate it down. And you can even write stuff like blah, 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 put picture of running shoes here, blah, 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 you know, and that makes it all simplified for when you're doing it. Speaking of pictures, some books have a lot more graphic references, some of them less so. In the fitness space, of course, we have tons of pictures and stuff because, you know, this is how you want to use it and your technique and stuff. So what I do is I'll write, you know, my paragraph and it's in normal paragraph font. But then when I have a picture, what I'll do is I'll hit like enter, like a space, and in bold, I'll write PCS of running shoes, and I'll bold it. Because in Google Docs, you can have the outline on the left side with all of the things that are bolded, all the things that are highlighted. It's all there in like a real quick and easy access format.
So it's making a shot list for you.
It's making a shot list for you. Exactly. Dude. So you have your shot list. So then when you've got your rough draft and you kind of edit and stuff, you're like, okay, where's my shot list? It's right there. And you just go through it and make your shots. And that way it's real simple. You don't have to find it. What is that picture? And reread the paragraph and stuff. It's literally put picture of kettlebell swing with an arched back here. And that way you look at that and you're like, oh, I need to take that picture, and boom. And it's real easy. It's all laid out for you.
Okay.
So
anybody that knows anything knows right now, Matt's just handing money out right now.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now. Okay. Like, just seriously, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Do continue.
Okay. So you got the rough draft, and and of course the real magic is in the editing. Now, when you dictate, you're going to be both an advantage and disadvantage. You're going to have the disadvantage of the phone just not hearing you correctly. So you could say something like, make sure to level up your training in the following ways. And it says purple elephants going sideways, you know, or something. And you're like, what? No. Okay. So then you correct those. But the beautiful thing is spelling is almost always correct when you dictate. Nice. So you save a ton of issues there. You also, typically the AI on those things is so good that you're getting all the theirs right and the yours right and everything like that. So that's going to save you a ton of editing time and problems right there. Right. But what I do for the first edit is you go through and you just want to make sure it makes sense. Like if someone was reading it first time and it's like, okay, you're talking about shoes and suddenly, wait, you're talking about foot bandages. Like, wait, hold on. Well, there's no transition here. So you put that in there kind of thing. So when you start to type for the edit, you slow it down enough. So you want to make sure it's all coherent and flowing very well. So that's the first edit, is make sure it makes sense. Third edit is you're going through and then you start to weed out a lot of stuff like paragraphs that drone on, or sentences. Sometimes you could say the same thing 3 times.
Right.
And running shoes are so important. They're really important for blah, blah. It's like you've said they're important 5 times, get to it already. So you could just cut that down to 1 because you want to make it really, really, really simple. Mm-hmm. And then the last one is you're going through and making sure grammar is correct and stuff like that. And for that, I just use simple Grammarly Premium.
Okay.
Grammarly is upgraded these days. If you get the premium, it now integrates and it works with Google Docs. It used to be that you had to export the Google Doc as a Word document and then import it into Grammarly. And you could only do that like maybe 20 pages at a time. So you'd have to really chop it up and it was a real big pain in the neck and you'd lose all your format and stuff. Now though, Grammarly is integrated into Google Docs. It works with Chrome and Safari browsers. Wow. So you upgrade to the premium Grammarly and it'll do it straight into the Google Doc, which makes it so much easier.
That's really cool.
It is such a time saver. It's great. It's really, really good. So you got that. And the last thing you do is put in your images. Okay. Because when you start putting in images and then you start working with text, the images and stuff, everything's going to need to be changed all over again. So the very last thing you do is your images. Yeah. And again, you go into the left side, you show the outline of it, and it has a shot list for you. And I just take photos on my phone. If it's a particularly difficult photo, I'll take a video of me doing it. Yeah. And I'll have it on slow motion.
Oh, yeah.
So, like if I'm doing an explosive push-up, yeah. I'll do a push-ups, explosive push-up slow motion format on the phone. And then I'll take a screenshot of where I want it to be. So you don't have to worry about, did I get the picture just right? Right. It's like, here I am coming off the floor and there, right. And so I'll screenshot that video. And I use a program called Affinity Designer. It's an Apple product, but I'm pretty sure they do it on Windows. They even have it on iPad and stuff that you can use as well. But it's kind of like Photoshop. I think it's like $50 though. Okay. One-time fee. You don't have to pay a monthly for it.
Yeah, I have the full Creative Suite just because of what I do, and it's $50 a month. So for somebody who doesn't need all of the Adobe apps, $50 straight up. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I wish I could do that.
It is very, and again, you kind of got to learn how to use some tweaks, but I use it just for real simple graphic stuff. Like I'll take the photo, I'll create a template in the Affinity Designer of a certain size. And the benefit of that is when you make the photo within that framework, that makes sure that every photo in the book is the same size. Mm-hmm. So that way you're kind of working with a uniform approach. Now, granted, as I'll explain in a little bit, you may need to change the size of some images in the book, but it at least gets you in the ballpark of having relatively the same size image, which makes it seem a little bit more uniform.
Yeah.
But I use it just for like put an arrow next to my knee on an image, or if I want to have a little bit of text on the thing, like make sure this is going on here and stuff. It just helps the image pop a little bit more as far as explanations and stuff.
Gotcha.
So it's not necessary, but if you want more from your photos than just cropping and stuff, then it's good, but by no means. In the fitness space though, you want to make sure that you are using your photos that are very, very easy to see. I read a book one time and I forget exactly what the topic was, but the photos were horrible, not because the quality of the detail, but it was literally a guy in like a field saying like, look how my hips are tilted during this pose. And he's like 20 yards away. He's like way outside. I can barely see you in that photo, let alone what your hips are doing.
Oh, wow.
So getting the cropping and everything just right helps to further explain what you want in that image.
Right.
And little things like that go a long way in making the book readable and usable, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do, is make the book so people can take action from the advice you're giving them. So you have your document, you have it written out, typed out, formatted, as far as these are the headers, these are the bolding, The images are in there, it's edited, things like that. Okay, so that's one document though. That's a basic Google Doc. Okay. Now, Amazon allows you to make your book in, at this point, 3 different formats. There's Kindle, there's physical soft cover format, paperback,
Okay.
and then they also have a hardcover version of it. Now, I don't do the hardcover because fitness books typically, they don't necessarily need, a lot of times, sometimes you want it to lay flat open, and it doesn't work so much with hardcover. But you don't need to rewrite things in order to go with each one. You just need to upload a different file for each one, and Amazon will say, great, you now have a Kindle book. You upload a different file. Great, now you have a paperback.
Cool.
And I also create a PDF of the book, because some people, they're like, I don't want to do with Amazon. I don't want Kindle or anything. Can you give me a PDF? And what I do is I do the PDF and I just sell that over on Spring, Teespring, it used to be called, where I sell merch and other things like that. And it's just the PDF. So you have your basic Word document. And this is the part that's kind of tricky, and I'm still struggling with it myself.
Okay.
Is getting it to format for the distribution of that particular method.
Okay.
Because now you can find templates online. Amazon has templates that you can use and stuff. For the life of me, I still haven't been able to get those templates to fit. They're like, use this template, it fits perfect. And it never does. I don't know if it's on my end. I don't know if it's on theirs. Something is changing. So in the Kindle format, it's not that big a deal because it's just digitally out. And in Kindle, you can change the font size and the image size and all these sorts of things. So basically what you want to do with the Kindle format is you have a Kindle table of contents, which is just linking table of contents. And by the way, Amazon has all the information on how to do this. If you just search there, they're like, oh, here's how you do this. So more detail is on that. And basically make sure that you have page breaks at the right places, like chapters. You don't have, end of chapter 1, chapter 2 starts directly on the same page. You have a page break. So at least there's a change over there. But then you literally just upload it as if you're uploading a Word doc. And you export from Google Docs as a PDF. And then you go to your Amazon KDP account, which works under the same account as your just normal Amazon account. So if you're going to order, something on Amazon, use the same username and password KDP. And there may be a little bit more setup there as far as your author page, like a image and what you do and stuff. But then it's literally like make a book, and you hit that button that says publish a new book, and it says, okay, which format? And I always start with the Kindle because that's the easiest. And then it literally just goes through the steps. What's the title? What's the subtitle? What's the description? Okay, upload the file format. That's where you upload the PDF. Upload a cover. Now the cover is something that you want to spend a lot of time on. Because when people are buying on Amazon, all they know is the cover to a large degree. They can't like flip through it too much. They can maybe get into the first few pages. Some books allow that. So you want to make sure that when you're making your table of contents, your chapters, that they're enticing potentially. You don't want to just be like, chapter 1, how to start running. You want to make it something that pops, like chapter 1, how to start running, even if you failed many times before, or, how to be a successful runner, even though you run with 2 left feet, or something funky like that. You want something that kind of entices people with a pair, because a lot of times people are going to look at the book, and if they look even one page in, all they're going to see is a table of contents. So it shouldn't be like how to choose good running shoes. It's how to choose shoes to run like the god of Mercury or something like that.
It's funny when you mentioned the chapter titles and the outline and stuff before, it was reminding me of how I write now. When I do a blog post, I brainstorm kind of a friend of mine and I, he actually created an SEO course or SEO writing course on my company's university account. Long story, we'll get into that later. But we're like, okay, what are the H2s for this? The second level headings, and they've got to be snappy and they've got to be grabby to both human beings and to Google. And to a lesser degree, it sounds like that's almost what you're doing here.
Oh, totally. Because we're bots, for the most part. Our attention span is like a bot on the internet looking for something to be interested in. So that goes with your title, that goes for your table of contents and stuff. It also goes for your cover. Very boring covers, they just get glanced over. And also you got to keep in mind that when people are looking on Amazon, chances are they're going to see your cover is about maybe an inch tall on their smartphone. Right. So if it's this tiny little cover that's really hard to see, it's not going to work so well. But if you have a cover that's very simple, straightforward, and easy to identify with, like one of my best covers is my micro workouts book. It just is me in a push-up position, looking all muscular because we got the lighting right and everything. And I'm just filling the page. And it's like micro workouts, big jacked muscular dude. That's all that's there. And like okay,
buy that.
Yeah, exactly. I want that. Exactly. Your subtitle, you want to make the benefit of reading the book apparent through the subtitle. So it'd be like couch to 5K, for people who don't run, let's say. That's your title. Now your subtitle would be something like run your first 5K in 90 days.
Oh, wow.
Something along those lines. Right. So make it real clear what benefit they're going to get from reading your book in the subtitle.
Huh.
So the title grabs the attention. The subtitle is like, oh, wow. Okay. Because that's getting them, their attention onto your book. And then the subtitle further that along. Oh, okay. Fantastic. Great. This looks really good. Because compared to other books on Amazon, now this is something I kind of skipped over early, but I should, is when people start writing books, they're come across two different ideas. The first is they'll go on Amazon and they'll be like, but there's a million couch to 5Ks. There's a million running books on Amazon. Why in the world would I write another one? And the answer to that is there's a million books because there's a really big market for it. And people have a desire to do that, which is awesome.
Right.
Plus, no one ever buys one book on a topic.
Right.
We all know people who have a million diet books. How many books do you have on kettlebell training and calisthenics, right?
Let's just say I had to buy another bookcase, and there's now 3 large bookcases as I slowly, and not meaning to take over. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's what Amazon's really good at. Hey, if you like this book on running or kettlebells or whatever, you'll also like that book. And as long as you're a little different, as long as it's like couch to 5K, for people who hate running or something, it's like, oh, that stands out. It's just different enough from the couch to 5K mastery or something. Mm-hmm. So it gets in the algorithm for Amazon. So Amazon is doing the selling for you. And it's like, very hey, cool. If you like this one, you'll love this one. And a lot of times people are like, I did like that one. I will buy that one. Amazon's really good at selling you stuff. And you're just jumping on that wave. You're like a surfer. You're like, this is where the wave is going. I'm going to jump onto it. Now, the other way you can look at it, though, is sometimes you'll have a topic and there's nothing on Amazon for it. Right. And in which case that might be a red flag, but sometimes it could be a good thing because it could mean that you're jumping on the wave first. Now, when I wrote my book, Overcoming Isometrics, a couple of years ago, this is right when the ISO chain was coming out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should write a book on overcoming isometrics. This is awesome. It's wonderful. It's great. And I went on Amazon and there was nothing on overcoming isometrics. There were a few books on isometrics here and there, but there was nothing. So because I just had faith in the topic and I could see the wave coming with the ISO chain coming out and stuff like that, I was like, I'm going to jump on this sucker right away and kind of be first to market. Right. Which is a gamble because it could be a tiny wave and peter out, right? Or it could be a big thing and you're like, I'm one of the originators of this kind of thing. Either way, you're going to win, right? Because the thing to keep in mind is writing a book for Amazon takes a lot of work up front and it takes a lot of investment and a lot of sacrifice. But once you've got it out, for the most part, you're done. And I've written books. I'm like, I don't care if it makes me $10 a month. It's out there and it's a tool I can use to market and sell. And even if it helps one person, you know, out there, I've got one book, Bodyweight Training for Cycling.
Okay.
I know there's not a big market for that.
There should be though. They need that.
Exactly. So that was a book that I wrote relatively quickly. And people are like, how do you know it's going to sell? I'm like, even if it makes me like $20 a month, I don't care. It's another book on my credit. It's another book in my library. It establishes credibility. And if it helps just one person every once in a while, in the same way it helped me, I consider that a win. Because once you've done the work, you're done working on it for the most part. It's done. You can kind of put it in the background and it's still doing something for you, even if it's a little bit. So it's just using that leverage.
Absolutely.
So that's the way you can kind of get some ideas. Another thing you can do, and this is something I'm not too good about myself, but if you're really stuck for ideas, like, okay, Couch to 5K, I got my own thing, but I really don't know what to write about and stuff. Go on Amazon and look at reviews and stuff for the books that are already out there. Because in the reviews, people are literally going to tell you what they like and what they don't like about that topic. So there could be a book out there and someone's like, this was a great book, but it was really hard to follow. The workouts were time consuming and very complicated. Boom, great. All right. Programming that's simple and efficient, you know, running for the busy people kind of thing. Yeah. Or someone could be like, this was a great book. I love how they break down running into a very easy to follow program. Good. Make sure you've got that kind of thing.
Nice.
So the more stuff that gets out there, the more people are going to tell you, this is what your book should be like in order for it to be successful.
Very cool.
So that's a little Amazon research for you.
Yeah, no,
that you can do.
That's huge.
All right. So getting back into, a little jump around here. So you got the Kindle book, and whenever you're publishing a title, cover, sorry, got off track there, cover. So Amazon has a cover maker that they have in their program, which your cover format and size and everything depends on the size of your book and the number of pages and the stock of the paper and everything like that. But Amazon will tell you the size of the cover file that you want to use. And again, you can take that size. I put it right into Affinity Designer. Here's the size, and you can make your own cover with just that.
Oh, cool.
Okay, that works pretty well. If you're kind of proficient at Photoshop or Affinity Designer, they'll say, this is the size of your cover, and you can just make it yourself. You can use the cover designer that Amazon provides for you, which is okay. It's not too bad. It is like stock images and stuff like that, which the first time around may not be a bad way to go about it. Right. Because when you're making your cover, when you're making it yourself the first time, chances are it's not going to be quite as good as what Amazon can make for you.
Gotcha.
So if what Amazon can make for you is better, go with that.
Gotcha.
But I was very lucky and fortunate. I have a good friend of mine who is a professional photographer and videographer. And at the time I was training him, and I was like, can we barter? You do images for me. I just need a good image for my cover for training. It's like, yeah, sure. So we would go off to rock quarries and in the woods and stuff and do photographs and stuff. And I took that image and I made it a cover that was okay. Because when in doubt, like someone looking at the book, they want to see you. Right. They want to see you looking back at them saying, this is me. It's more intimate. It's more personal than just a stock image, which can work perfectly fine. But if there's more of you getting put out there, it's a little bit more personable.
That makes sense. Yeah,
and one day he was like, I made my cover. I even published it. There's a couple of copies of my first book out there with my original cover. They're probably worth millions of dollars at this point, I'm sure. But he was like, okay, let me take a crack at this. And he made the cover that now is on the book. And he's like, what do you think of this? And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a hell of a lot better than what I came up with. Yeah.
Like, how soon can I upload this? Right.
Exactly. And I've had a lot of people offer me services like, hey, I made this cover. And it's like, it's not quite what I want, but thanks anyway. But if you really get stuck, you can always just go on Fiverr. You can go on those sites and be like, here's some images I have. Here's the text that I want on the back of it. Show me what you got. And you hire like 15 people for like $50 or something. and you're like, best cover wins. And that way you're going to have a professional create a cover for you and you're good.
That's great.
Yeah. And what I recommend is if they make the cover in like Photoshop or something, see if you can get them to give you the raw file.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to make multiple books, you want the general template for the first one. So your covers have a consistency about them. If you look at my books, all of my books have kind of the same font. They have a color banner at the top, which changes with each book. Like, okay, let's do it with green this time and let's blue this time and stuff. The way that the cover is made is very similar from one book to the next. So it all looks like it's in the same collection.
That's cool.
The exception is one book that I did through a publishing house and they made their own cover. But
yeah, fair enough.
Aside from that, all my covers have a very similar appearance to them.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like, oh, we know this is Matt's brand and we liked this one book, so we're going to buy the rest of them. Or
exactly.
Okay. I see. That's one of his. That's very, very smart. That's really
exactly. And there's that thing too about color. Like growing up, like the Morphin Power Rangers, right? You got the Black Ranger and you got the white one, and you got the red one. So my books are like, I got the whole collection. Here's all the colors and everything.
That's fun.
So yeah. So you upload it, you upload the cover, you establish your pricing and stuff. Amazon will typically say you have to have a minimum amount that you have to charge to cover their costs.
Right.
And Amazon's way complicated with their pricing because they have technically different distribution to different countries and parts of the world, which is ridiculous as far as a bookkeeping standpoint, because every month at the end of the month, I get a bazillion emails from each distribution channel. Yeah. And it's like, okay, here's your income from America, blah, blah, blah. Great. And it is something like, here's your distribution to Paraguay and you made 38 cents or something. I'm like, okay, woo! Woohoo, all right. So it is a little funky, but don't worry too much about it. I just say, here's my price. It adjusts it all in the different distributions and go for it from right there. My standard is my Kindle books are all $10, regardless of length.
Okay.
And the paperbacks, I usually just mark it up like 15% or so. Paperback, usually people don't do too much as far as paperback books. In fact, when I first started writing, I only put out Kindle, and that was most of what people buy. And paperback, I just put out there because people were like, can I get a paperback? And I was like, all right, fine. Now, here's the mistake I made initially that really messed me up. So that Google document, right? I'd publish it and be like, here we go. Okay, paperback, here we go. Okay, change the table of contents, change the formatting, change this, change that, change this image. Okay, good. And you send that and you do the same thing for paperback because it says publish paperback. Don't do that. Because what you did was you took one file and you changed it in order to adapt to another.
Okay.
But one of the advantages of being an independent publisher is you can make changes to your books at any time. And I've done this with several of my programs, like my Grind Style Calisthenics book.
Right.
Over the years, the programs just evolved and changed.
Right.
So I can go into the book and say, okay, instead of 4 sets, do 3 sets of this one. And instead of 8 to 12 reps, let's do 10 to 15 reps and stuff. So I can just make these changes. But the thing is, if you change your original document, now you've got to reformat it back into Kindle and back and forth, which is a total pain in the butt. And it takes hours and hours of work to do that. So here's what you do instead. And again, Google Docs, you just go to the menu of documents you have. And when I write my book, originally, I would say like, okay, Couch to 5K, parenthesis, Kindle version. Okay. You just right click on it, say, make a copy. And it says a copy down below, rename Couch to 5K, parenthesis, paperback version. And then you reformat that document instead. So now you've got your Kindle and your paperback versions in 2 different files.
Nice.
So if you need to change both, it's easy. If you need to change one, you can do that as well.
Very cool.
And then I do it again, even a 3rd time for the PDF version.
Right.
Yeah. Just in case someone's like, oh, this PDF one, something in the table of contents isn't working for whatever reason that's happened. Is like, okay, then you just change that one file and you're done.
Very cool. So when you format for a paperback, is there anything different that you have to do versus, Kindle or whatnot? I'd be worried about page breaks.
Yeah, that gets really, that's the main bugaboo that I'm still dealing with. It is a total pain in the butt right now because you upload the file and then it says, do you want a preview? And yes, you always, always, always want a preview. And it opens up a thing on your screen that looks like the book. And it's like, this is exactly what the book's going to look like. Here's the table of contents, turn the page, here's this image, turn the page, yada, yada, yada. Now, you can upload a template and you can change the margins and stuff in Google Docs. So it's roughly the size of the paperback book and stuff, which gets you close and in the ballpark. But I've never been able to get it dead on where if it looks like this in the Google Doc, it'll look like that in the paperback. So unfortunately, the only way I know to do this right now is you look at it in the Google Doc, page breaks are where you want them, image sizes and stuff. You upload it to Google Doc. And the problem with this is it takes time to upload it. Then you hit preview and it's like, okay, this will take a few minutes, maybe 5, maybe 6 minutes. And it's just thinking and thinking. And then it's like, okay, here's the preview. And then you open it up and you're like, okay, table of contents, good. You got ISBN, got that. And oh shoot, okay. Chapter 1 starts, but then it's got this huge blank space underneath it. And then this massive image on the next page. So you go back to the Google Doc, you resize the image to be a little smaller. Then you export that, you upload it back again, you wait. Then you have to change. Yes, I want to check it. You go to that page. They're like, oh, good. Now it's there. Good. And you're going through and you're checking and you're like, oh, now, because I moved that, this page break is now over on the left. It needs to be on the right. So you go back to the Google Doc, you change it there. So it is a very tedious process and you just go through it page by page by page. And it's a total pain in the neck. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it. I'm sure I'm still not doing it the best way. But that's the only way I've been able to kind of figure that out. The only thing is that once you figure it out to a certain degree, like if you're on page 50, everything below it's good. So when you upload it and you want to check it, you can jump to page 50 and then start checking from there. You don't need to start from page 1 again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a total pain in the neck to do it that way. I've spent so many hours to get things correct like that.
Gotcha.
But then when you have the paperback done, you always order a proof. So before you publish, you're like, do you want to order a proof? Absolutely, yes. You always want to order a physical proof so you can see it. Because the Kindle version, when you're checking it, it's going to look the way it does on your computer or your phone.
Right.
That's no different. Right. But it's amazing how it looks fine on your computer. And then you get it in your hands, you're like, these images are way too big. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. So then you go through and you start the process again. But once you got it, you're done. That's the mindset you want to have during this whole process is, God, this is a lot of work. This is a total pain in the neck and it's really hard to do. But once you're done, and that's it. And you're complete and you're finished.
Yeah.
And then it starts working for you.
Yeah. Well, you're creating an asset. You're almost making an investment in the most literal sense.
Totally. That's exactly what you're doing. And that's what you want to think about.
Yeah.
I was watching something on the internet, as you do, and someone was talking about all that went into creating like a real estate empire. And this guy was, I've got these properties, I'm doing this maintenance, I'm doing this. And the guy's like, well, what are you clearing? He's like, I'm clearing about $2,500 a month kind of thing. He's got all this work. I'm like, dude, I do that myself. And I barely have to do anything. I'm not doing hardly. Now, granted, I don't have the asset of a building and a house and stuff, so it's not quite the same category, but he talks about all this work he's done. And I'm like, I've got that, but I don't have property I got to take care of and property tax and all this other stuff.
Right. Or trees falling on it or a plumbing disaster or.
Exactly. So, and that's a great thing about working on Amazon is Amazon takes their cut of every sale, but you don't have to pay a cent to get started. It's all sweat equity up to that point, but you don't have to pay anything to put a book out there. You don't have to pay monthly fees. Amazon just takes a percentage of each book. And people are like, well, doesn't that suck? And I'm like, no, they are welcome to have it because they take care of everything I don't want to do. They do the printing, they do the returns, they do the shipping, they handle everything. All I got to do is say, hey, buy my book. Here's the link. And that's all I got to do. Amazon takes care of the rest. They're welcome to their cut.
Right. And they're hosting it. They're doing marketing of it. You know, every time they show your stuff, you may also like this. I mean, that's work you're not having to do.
Totally. They do a lot of the work. All I got to do is write it and put it out there.
That's so great.
So speaking of writing and putting it out there, you know, I know a lot of times with self-publishing world, like you get these authors that are like, make $10,000 a month. And, you know, this book, here's the thing is chances are very good. A book isn't going to make you much money.
Right.
It's you're contributing to this massive library that is out there. And if you're betting your success financially on a book, it's probably not going to happen. So here's the mindset you want to take instead is it's not so much about hitting home runs as base hits. And so the way I look at it is I've been writing these books since 2014. Every single time I put out a new book, you get an initial bump of income because you're promoting it and saying, hey guys, I've got this new book coming out and everything. So you get an initial bump for a couple months. But after that, it kind of levels off. But every time I've put out a book, my monthly income has increased. So every time I make a book, it's like putting out a little robot on the web saying, go make me money. Here, go make me money. Yeah. You go on Amazon, make me money. Thank you very much. You little servant book of yours, you go and you make me money. Thank you very much. And it happens every single time. So it's not about trying to hit home runs with the book. It's just every book is another base hit.
Right.
And that's why this process, like you want to make it very simple because it's not about writing a book and I'm done. It's about being a prolific author and writing multiple books that go into a collection. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I don't know how I could possibly write so much. That's so much to write about. Here's the thing is when I started writing, I made the big mistake of trying to put too much into my first book, my first two books. My first two books took a lot of time and they're really big and they're really expensive to buy. And they're kind of hard to apply as far as information goes.
Right.
We now live in that TikTok generation where people want things quick. So let's say, again, couch to 5K. Okay, you're writing about running.
Right.
So if you were to say, I'm going to write a book on running, you have all this data. Your outline is like 5 pages long. It's like, don't put all that into a book. It's got to be very big. It's got to be expensive. It's going to be hard to sell. It's going to be hard for people to apply. Here's what you do is, you know, even if you have the book and you're like, it's an $80 book or something, most people aren't going to buy it and you're only going to make so much off of it.
Right.
Think of small lines of income contributing in a collective way. So take that and break it down into 5 books. Okay, couch to 5K, couch to 10K, running for weight loss, running for athletics, running for stress relief with a supplement in there with meditation, running and yoga or something combined, like what Danny Cavadlo did with his hybrid strength, free weights and calisthenics, put it together. So you've got all of these things and each one is a separate income stream. Each one is something that can help people. Because if I'm a runner and I'm looking through, I'm like, running too general, running for busy people. Perfect for me because I got this new job, right? So you're going for the divide and conquer trick in your marketing. So now you've got multiple books, multiple income streams. Each one may seem smaller, but collectively it adds up. Plus on Amazon, you can publish book collections. So like I do that, I have the Train Smarter series with smart bodyweight training, micro workouts, all this. So people can say, oh, I like that book. But you can say, well, if you like that book, here's the series. So instead of $10 each book, and there's like 4 books in the series, you can get the whole series for $25.
Okay.
So what that does is it gives them a deal of, oh, I can get all of this for $25. So instead of buying 1 book, they're buying 4. But for you, you're making more money because it's a higher price point. Plus, it is technically another product that you're selling.
Right.
It's like a musician offering a box set.
Nice.
You know, like, here's my box set. you didn't create more content, but you are putting out technically another product, which is another income stream to help people.
Right.
So that, and it takes 2 minutes to set that up on Amazon, and boom, you've got another income stream and another way to make money.
That's very cool. I was kind of curious to see if you had been doing product bundling, and that's exactly what this is. That's very, very cool.
Absolutely. And you may be able to do it too. We were talking about Amazon affiliate program. I don't know if you can do affiliate program with your own stuff, but there may be a way for you to combine stuff with other products on Amazon. I'm not sure, but and if not, that maybe they will have this, but it's like, okay, Couch to 5K, by the way, bundle it up with this pair of running socks and this, running nutritional supplement, and people can buy it together. Because once people have made the decision to buy, upselling is a piece of cake, of course.
Right.
So that way, and people are like, well, this total package would cost you $49.95, but we'll sell it to you for, $32. Like, great, it's a deal. Buy. It's making it so basically Amazon's figured all this stuff out. So now you're riding the wave of Amazon and using that big monstrosity of economics to your advantage. And that way, again, you just sit back and let it do the work for you.
That's fantastic. Well, I've already taken 3 pages of notes here. Even though I was not intending to, I was like, oh no, just focus. But I couldn't help myself. This is great. So much value in this, man. And it sounds pretty, this has all been your experience too, which really makes it so worthwhile.
And keep in mind, folks, we are scratching the surface here. We haven't gone into advertising. We haven't gotten into book promotion. There's a million other directions we can go into. But if this gets you started, that's the point of this. Just gets you, open up that Google Doc, start writing on an outline. If it gets the ball rolling, I've done my job here, and it's made the world a better place.
What's neat about this is one piece of a larger ecosystem that is what you do. And it's cool to see, this cog as part of that whole system that kind of regenerates.
Absolutely. And there's ways to integrate it with your, like my podcast is sponsored by me and the books I write. Go down below in the description and click on my books and stuff. And so it's just this integration into your business. And that's one of the best things about it, is when you write books about the stuff that you're already working on and teaching people, or it's already affiliated with other businesses and stuff, it just integrates seamlessly. It doesn't seem like this forced thing where I'm like, okay, here are my podcast sponsor of, bigcowboyhats.com or something that just seems forced. No one likes that. No one likes to hear it. Marketers don't like to say it, kind of thing. It's like, I'm only doing this because of money. No, I'm like, hey guys, I'm talking about this topic. By the way, if you want to learn more, check out this book that I've written on the topic. And it's just this more natural and organic way to help people that gives them another presentation and outlet.
Well, that is great. I'm really so happy that you shared this with us today. And I can't wait to hear about how everyone takes action on it. I certainly will. I love the idea of creating that outline and spending so much time on the outline and then essentially filling in the blanks. That's so huge. It's so huge.
Yeah. You spend an extra minute on the outline, it could save you an hour in the writing process or more. It just is the best way. If you don't take anything else away from this, folks, that outline, fill it out, and then just go through the bullet points. That can get you writing that book, because the first book is always the hardest.
Yeah.
Lots of people start writing a book, and it's like fitness. A lot of people start, very few people get to what they want. Very, very, very few people finish their book. So I offer you this challenge. Start and just get it out there. Even if it's total crap, if it's the worst book in the world, and you get 1-star reviews and everybody's like, this book shouldn't even deserve 1 star. Great, you can always delete it. You always have full power in the independent publishing space, but get it out there, because once you've got that ball rolling, it's almost hard to stop at that point.